Alrighty guys, Lord Nitro 101 coming back at you on the YouTube. Okay, so basically I've had some questions while I've been streaming and stuff like that, so I thought I'd make a quick video of kind of what we're going to expect within the next patch, as I've had several opportunities to play on the PTR. So I'm not going to give too many sort of spoilers away. I'm just going to try to give you guys as much information as I can, so that way you're a little bit more prepared going into the new patch and into Season 4 when it launches. Alright, so let me fire into the game here. Alright, so the first thing I'll talk about is, as we all know, it's been sort of well documented that the trials are now gone. So we have no more trial system. And we don't even have a key for standard rifts. Okay, right now you just open one up and away you go. Another thing that's also changed is when you kill a guardian on while you're in a standard rift, you will acquire one of these greater rift keystones, which are now just square. Whether they're going to change them, you know, you end up with a little plus symbol, right? So whether they're going to change that, we don't know. It kind of looks like they're going to leave it as it is currently. So that's really cool. So now we have less sort of storage that we have to hold on to other keys. Another thing I can also talk about too is once you've acquired one of the Greater Rift keystones and you click on it, it now brings up a pull down menu. So you can scroll up and down. Now currently the way it's working on the PTR, it is whatever level you complete in whether solo or whether in a group. So right now we've cleared up to a 43. I believe it was a 3-man team that we ended up doing. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad that they've made those changes. It makes quote unquote what they keep saying our quality of life much better, so that's a real positive thing. Another thing we also found out too that we don't they're definitely not going to change, as you enter into Season 4, all of, as well as 2.3 the patch, all of the items that drop for you even when you're leveling up are all of the quality things that we require, which means when a blue drops now, it now converts into an arcane dust. When a white item drops, it now turns into a resumable part. Same thing with the yellows, they automatically turn into vile crystals. So once again, we have a better quality of life where even as you're leveling up your brand new Seasonal 4 character, you have the ability to immediately start farming up crafting materials as you get going forward. So the same thing applies as in all of the legendaries, and you break them down and then they would become Forgotten Souls. So that's a positive turning point. So it will save on our stash space itself. Another thing I can also mention now that I have sort of my stash open, when you kill key wardens in higher torment levels, they automatically drop the portals. Okay, so there's no longer, farming up the keys and all that kind of stuff. They automatically drop the portals for you. So you're already acquiring the portals that you need right off the bat. So I think that's a really good positive change for the game. Also, what they've also done now, as you can see, I am standing by a brand new thing that they've added to the game. This is Kanais Cube. And I'll go into some more detail, and here is a spoiler alert. I will show you where you can acquire the cube itself for the first time. When I first acquired the cube, I was actually leveling up my character. So whether that changes as this patch goes live and Season 4 goes live, I don't know. but it seems like we should be able to acquire it quite easily. They've added a brand new area. If you go to Act 3, there's a brand new area called the Ruins, right? Well, this is ideally, historically, was an old barbarian stronghold that has been broken down. And from what we're hearing from Blizzard, they had planned to put this in the game initially, but could not sort of fit it into the storyline. But because within adventure mode and the way they open the world up, it can now be placed into the game again. So you will head to that area, whether it's a bounty select or not, you can still acquire the cube. Alright, so here is your spoiler alert. I will show you, I have killed all the enemies in the environment, so you won't see any of the creatures that are there. I'm strictly going to show you where you would head to find the cube. Alright, the area that you'll end up going to, you'll go through that level. You'll find a secondary portal down to where they call the Elder Sanctum, right? And if I teleport into there, I'm actually standing right in front of the doorway. You'll find a doorway like this, very well done graphically, the trees and everything. It's really a very cool environment. I'm actually hoping that they not only put this into standard rifts, but I actually hope eventually it ends up in greater rifts. I think the tile set would be really, really cool for it. Alright, so you'll find an opening in a wall like this. As you walk through, you will find Kanais Cube sitting up there. Right now, obviously I can't acquire the cube because I've already got the cube, right? He's standing in town. But that is where the cube is located. Once you have acquired the cube, you're pretty well set, right? So that you can start using it right away. So I don't lose my portal, I will just jump back to town using the actual waypoint jump. Alright, now the cube itself has a lot of opportunities, a lot of build diversity because of the way it works. Now what I'll do is I have already purchased all of the items that I require, and as well as I've farmed up all of the materials. Okay, so basically what happens for those of us that have been playing Reaper of Souls for a long period of time, as well as Diablo 3, you'll remember these crafting materials that we had to acquire before when forging some items. Well, they've reissued those items back into the game again, so that we would have the ability to use the cube. Okay, so basically how it works, I will require my death breath. Alright, so once you have acquired the cube, you go over to the cube, you click on it, and this brand new window will appear. Sorry, I actually already transmuted something already, my spirit guards, but I'll walk through a whole procedure about how to do it. And if anything that you do need to know, they actually put a little recipe book down here, so you would just click on the recipe book and it would show you what each thing will acquire for you to actually utilize. Alright, so a good example is I want to extract the legendary affix off of the Flow of Eternity, okay, which is the orange. Okay, and anytime you extract this legendary affix off of an item, it is at its maximum roll. Okay, so right now, even if this particular Flow of Eternity was not 60%, it would be 60%. So you put that item in there, okay, you make sure you put some death breath in there based off the recipe. You can just right click, put them all in there. And then down here, all you do is you hit transmute. It'll say you're about to extract a legendary power, and it will destroy that legendary, so you no longer have it. So you click OK, it disappears. Okay. Then over here, we have 3 slots. One is a weapon, one is a armor piece, okay, which consists of any armor piece. and then we have a jewelry piece. So if I click on now, because I've destroyed the flow of eternity, I click on that, and I can now see the flow of eternity right there. So to activate it, I just click on it, and now I have the flow of eternity, which reduces my cooldowns of 7-sided strike by 60%. So that is really cool. Now what I'm also going to do is I'll break down another item as well. Okay, I want to break down the ring of the elements ring. So I want to take that legendary affix off of it and break it down. So same thing applies again. Make sure you have your death breath in there, all the crafting materials, and I'll explain how you acquire those in a moment. Alright, so then I hit transmute again. It'll tell me that I'm about to destroy it. Oh hell yeah. Now I now have a brand new jewelry piece. I click on the jewelry piece, same thing, to click on it to activate it, and now I have the elements ring. And if you notice, that element ring only rolled into about 160% range. But when you put them into the cube, it automatically rolls it to its highest effect, which is 200%. So I now, as well as all of my gear that I'm currently wearing, I've now pulled off these affixes for these particular legendaries. So that is really cool. So it's going to be interesting to see what people come up with build-wise and diversity-wise for what we can actually put in the cube. And there's a fair number of different pages of stuff that we can actually break down. You can also break down, say for example I had one immune amulet, I could have a secondary immune amulet equipped, because this ring can also be all of the amulets as well. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so once that's done, okay, now in this case we also want to check out some of the other things that are actually capable of doing. I just needed to grab some gems here. So I'll grab some diamonds so I can show you the next procedure. Oh, and I'll actually grab some of the other things now. I'll grab these rings just so I can show you one of the other things as well. Alright, so you go back to the cube. Now if you look at some of the recipes, we'll turn to page 2. So right here, if you list down, there's some different things that you're capable of doing, right? So on the first page, right, this is extracting the legendary power. The other one is reforging a legendary item, right? Now, I don't necessarily, I think this may or may not be one of those things that you really want to do to start off with. The upgrading of the rare item, I don't really see much of a point to it at this particular moment. One thing I do want to mention though that I think is really cool, they have stopped allowing us to reforge the weapons right now, like set weapons, like the Bokatos weapons, the Shinlong weapons. So we'll see whether or not that changes or it stays the way it is. We don't know, right? It's one of those PTR things being tested. Alright, so for example, I have 2 copies of the restraint ring. Well, now one is ancient, but what I'm trying to do is acquire the focus, so I would have a pair. So I would put that ring in, I would put 10 death breath, and I actually forgot to grab my forgotten souls. So let me quickly jump over there. I'll grab my forgotten souls, make sure I come back. Alright, so I would put my restraint in there because I'm trying to get a focus. Right, so you put that in if we're following the recipe, right? I need to put my death breaths in there, right? And then I convert. And now theoretically I should get a focus, which is exactly what I did. It didn't roll very well, but this is generally how you could do it. So there's another opportunity for you to try to acquire some other set pieces. It also works with, say for example, with the brand new Yolanda set, which is the brand new monk set that I'm currently wearing right now. I'll zoom in for, you know, it actually looks pretty good. I like the design and stuff. So, but for that new set, say for example, you're farming along, and numerous times live on stream, I've chased the boots of sets. You've chased the chest armor. You keep finding other pieces of it, but you can't seem to find the chest armor. Well, what that'll give you, the same thing that we just did with that particular thing, you'll be able to do by placing that set item in there. You can have an opportunity to roll that item off and acquire one of the new pieces of that set. So in the hopes of it rolling properly, you could actually acquire that piece that you need. One of the other things they had mentioned here as well is if you wanted to actually equip any kind of a weapon with your Gem of Ease, right? So it would automatically turn that weapon into a low-level weapon that you could run along. So I think that's okay, but I think we're pretty good at power leveling ourselves or fast leveling ourselves using the game method. That I think we'll be able to not really utilize that. Okay, this one here is very, very handy. It's one of the smarter things, I think, because as many of us don't always play multiple classes, but we always end up picking up an awful lot of different gems that we don't necessarily need. Okay, monks, ideally, yes, we do use some diamonds for the resist, but I don't need a great deal of them. But one thing I do need for actually playing the monk, especially for damage, is I need emeralds. So say for example you had farmed up a whole bunch of diamonds, but you needed a bunch of emeralds. Well, basically what they had done is, if you go to Act 2 and you go over to the little peddler, right, it's the Squirt the Peddler, where we normally would acquire our legendary Hellfire Amulet plans and the Hellfire Ring plans, they've added the new essences of Emerald, Diamond, Ruby, and Topaz, right? And of course the Amethyst. Now you can purchase these right now. The price is 500k, so as you acquire more gold, you'll be able to do that as well, right? So once you acquire those pieces, same thing applies. When in any doubt, just switch up, bring up there. So you put the gem you want to change, you put in the actual plan that you need. So in this case, I'm putting in the essence of emerald so I can actually convert some. I actually hope they increase the numbers. Right now we only get 9. And then all you would do is hit transmute, and I now have 9 emeralds. So I think that's a really cool feature that I think we'll definitely use. As well as they've also put another thing in here as well, that if you have a great deal of one particular crafting mat, you can now convert them. The only problem is it will eat up an awful lot of death breath. So something for you to be aware of when you're farming. Definitely make sure you're picking up your death breath just to make it a little bit more viable for you. Alright, so let me clean up my stash here just so I've got it all put back. Okay, so that's where you would acquire the essences, right? So basically the same way we acquire our plans and all of that, as we had done before. Another thing I have also noticed too is a lot of the stuff is already opened. Okay, so it's pretty cool that was. Like as in the world itself. And so when you're trying to level yourself up, you can actually immediately get into rifts, which I thought is a very fast way, as well as the ability to get an awful lot more materials and actually doing bounties. Okay, now you guys are all wondering how I acquired those brand new crafting materials for using with the cube. Basically what they've done is they've now added those materials into the caches that we normally farm on our standard bounty runs. So if you were farming an Act 1 bounty, you acquired the cache, you open the cache, it would have some of the materials already in there for you. Those materials will increase their number count as you go higher in difficulty levels. So if you're farming constantly in Torment 10, clearly easily, right? That you'll acquire much faster. Now a new feature that they added that I thought was really cool is if you notice I'll circle the Act 1 bounty. If you notice there's a chest above it, right? So if you actually hover over it, it'll say bonus cash awarded. So if you can complete those bounties, you will gain an extra cash. And inside those extra cash, especially in the very beginning, can be plans that you can use with your blacksmith, plans for your jeweler, as well as some of the crafting materials. So I think that's a really cool feature that they added, that you can sort of bonus yourself up. Now, as you heard me mention, I let it slip, but I just thought it would be something really cool to show you guys. One thing that they actually did was they have actually added higher torment levels. I won't leave the game because it's very difficult to get into some of the higher levels of games right now, but we have gone all the way up to Torment 10. The equivalent right now, based off the information that Blizzard has released to us, Torment 10 is generally like running a Greater Rift 45. Now, I have farmed up some Torment 10, obviously not on my brand new seasonal one, because this is Season 4 right now. I farmed up the brand new character, have it leveled up, and I'm finding some of the new materials. But in that process, I found it a little bit easy in some aspects and a little bit harder in other aspects. So it really comes down to when you go into the standard rifts, or even when you're doing the bounties, it's really what you encounter in the world of how difficult it's going to be. As for, I will also cover the actual sort of new set itself. I did acquire the brand new legendary item for the monk, which is the Lion's Claw. It looks really cool. I think the affixes on it is going to be absolutely dynamite. It takes advantage of the brand new set. As you notice, the affix on here is your 7-sided strike performs an additional 7 strikes. So depending on how your gear is actually set up, you can actually hit 14 times with your 7-sided strike. So it's pretty cool. So the brand new set, Yolanda set, of course, 6-piece set. The 2-piece set, every third hit, your spirit generator applies an exploding palm. 4-piece set, your 7-sided strike deals its total damage with each hit. And the 6-piece set, your 7-sided strike detonates your exploding palms. So I'm still experimenting, ideally with the set itself. We also, I'm not sure if it's a seasonal item or it's just a brand new legendary that they added into the game for the monk. But Binding of the Lost is a brand new belt that seems to be a brand new legendary item that has been put into 2.3. Each hit with 7-sided strike grants 3.2% damage reduction for 7 seconds. So that's pretty cool. Anytime you can reduce the damage taken to yourself is always good. So yeah, that's pretty well it, guys. As for the Season 4 sort of content and discussion, I'll give it very, very briefly. When I leveled myself up, in particular, I had only done one bounty run, and then had come to figure out that we could immediately go into a rift. And once in the rift, I was able to level up much quicker, as well as find a great deal of materials. So that's sort of the current update. What I'll do is I'll probably make a final YouTube video as we get the 2-week warning before Season 3 ends. The patch will go live, and we'll sort of head into Season 4. Alright, so guys, thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any comments, questions, just leave them down below, and I will actually try to respond to them as fast as I can. Alright, thank you. I'm off.